that those are life skills, you know.
But and this is, and honestly, and I'm a teacher that I teach less and I give more life skills, and that's just how I've had to do it. Because it's frustrating seeing children come into the classroom without basic knowledge of how to be respectful. But those things need to be taught at home. I cannot. Hey, what's up? What's up? And welcome to the Artist Exchange Radio Show here live only on BeExposedRadio.com. Excuse me for today. My list is worse because I have a temporary retainer in right now, and I'm at the point right now where if they just take all of them out, I'll be good. I just don't want to I don't want to walk around with the sunken lip feeling. Oh man, sunken lip thing. But so I'm here today. First of all, I want to send a really big happy birthday out to a good friend of mine, Mr. Marty Smith. Unfortunately, he did not make it to see his 32nd birthday. And I'm still in my feelings and emotions from the last week of everything that's been going on. But I'm very proud of how the arts community here, throughout, not even just the Black arts community, but the arts community has rallied around Marty in celebrating his life and his work as an actor and a performer. And I'm really happy how the family and friends and the art circle here has really just clashed and came together, opposed to everybody's trying to have their own narrative. Shout out to the Baltimore Sun for writing a really great article on Martique in celebration of his work in the arts community. Shout out to Roz for rallying together and giving him a really great candlelight vigil along with David Mitchell and Arena Players, who was a host site for it. All of his friends that came out, and me, things like this have happened throughout the last couple months, but I've kind of stayed back. But Martique meant too much to me for me to just watch it from home. So I really wanted to be there, and everybody was safe. Everybody was masked up. And today is actually his viewing. If you're listening to this and you haven't gotten the information, you can go to my Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook page, my personal page as well, and get the flyer in terms of the information. It's the Wally Funeral Home on Mount Street. I believe that's in the Emerson Village, Lower Emerson Village area. So please, if you can, go by there today and show your respects. I think Rachel, his wife, and his mom and his children would really greatly appreciate that. If not tomorrow, the funeral is planned and scheduled and going on. Just everybody, please be safe. Please mask up because and if you showing your respect, you want to still be safe. And there will be children and all elders and stuff like that present. So I'm gonna continue to shout him out all throughout the month of September, celebrating his birthday, his life, and I'm planning some special guests throughout the month to kind of commemorate and celebrate his life. Today I have a very special guest, Mr. Kyle A. Jackson. Kyle has been one of my most repeated guests, and was actually my first official guest. He didn't realize.
Oh yeah.
But he was.
Okay.
And speaking of my very official guest, tomorrow actually marks my 7th year with Be Exposed Radio.
Woo.
I didn't really do a lot of that because we had the Real Nigga show, and then Martique passing away, and then I wasn't in a mindset, but I pulled together. At least got Kyle. I'm glad Kyle was able to join us from all the way across the pond, and came out. But him and Terrence, from the show that I was doing at the time, were my first official guests. But Kyle went on to be my most repeat guest in the history of the show, and it feels good. Actually, it's been 8 years, but I officially started with Be Exposed in the last 7 years, and I'm really excited. All the things that I've learned, all the people that I've met, the things that I've gotten to do in association with being on this station and with the Artist Exchange. I'm really excited. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that. And I think that was everything. Yeah. So today's topic, I thought I had a whole list of things, but I tried to combine two of them in one. But today's topic is, should I stay or should I go? Is really kind of a nod to this, what I would think, or what I would call it as a possible Black exodus from the United States. Um, this last year was the year of return, so many people began to venture out to Africa and rediscover it for themselves personally, or discover it for the first time. So a lot of people went and visited various places in Africa. Mainly, what I was hearing was Ghana and Nigeria and South Africa, and a couple of people I know went to Kenya. And just exploring it and figuring out, is it possible to live there? Many of the countries in Africa are offering, and the Caribbean are offering, a new home, and asking people to come back. Um, can you kind of move your head a little bit center for me, Kyle? You kind of off the screen a little bit. But yeah, so myself and Kyle, we talked on and off about what that was like. Kyle has already started the process. He probably never coming back. So
That's not
shout out,
true. That's
shout
not
out to
true.
him. And I mean, but it's okay because we've talked, and I was looking at possibly Canada, because I can't do that heat all the time. Now I've started researching Switzerland, Nigeria, and South Africa. Looking at what that would be like for me to move over there or move independent on my own, which is scary. But those places I know people, so I could possibly learn a little. Shout out to Mr. Fowler. He don't know I'm calling him, but hey, Mr. Fowler, I might be coming over this. I need a bid soon. But I'm really excited about the possibility. But many of us are no longer happy, and not to say we always were, but I think the reality of another 4 years of Trump um, is scary to many
Yep.
of us, and it seems like the 4 years that we've gone through so far has shown us where the next 4 years could go. And for me, I don't want to live in a country that I'm just a social security number to them. I'm not
Yeah.
valuable. I'm not a commodity outside of what I could give or how I can help them become richer. But these are new things. But I think a lot of people are waking up to the possibility of the United States may be on the road to failure, ruin, because every great empire in history has fallen.
Yeah.
Every great empire at some point has fallen. Some has taken longer than others to get to that point, but I don't think the United States is above reproach in this point. But I wouldn't want it to happen. But what does it look like? Should I stay or should I go? So I'm gonna ask Kyle to introduce himself,
Okay.
and we can get right into the conversation. Hopefully, Curtis will be joining us shortly as well. But I don't know. So we're gonna go with what we have, and we're gonna do our thing. So what's up, Kyle? Oh, he frozen. Oh, I hate that feeling. Is it him or me? Is it you? Are you good now?
I,
Okay.
I'm good. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but hey, everybody, how y'all doing? So Nate was asking me to introduce myself, and I'm probably introducing myself for like the 105th time on the show, but that's okay.
But this is
Um,
a different format. You have never been on this format before. You've been to all the other places we've been,
yeah,
but
you're
not
right.
this
I have
format.
never been. I have never. This is the first. Okay, so this
This
is the
is the
first time on this
quarantine
format.
home edition of the Artist Exchange.
All right, so yeah, so I'm Kyle Jackson. I am an actor, writer. I've been doing probably more writing than acting lately.
Hope
I
it's
work
something
for
that I
Bear
could
World
be in.
Magazine,
I'm just saying.
which is basically a lifestyle magazine for bears. If anybody doesn't know who bears are the larger hairier men in the gay community. I
Oh my.
have been doing that. Can y'all hear me?
Here we go.
Hello?
Go ahead, Kyle. Keep going.
Okay.
Oh, his screen froze again. So Kyle, in addition to him being us, you can hear me
Yeah.
now? Go
Yeah.
ahead. I was about to introduce you, but go ahead.
So basically, what did you hear? What did y'all hear me say?
You started off with the larger, hairier.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm working with. I'm doing some work with Bear World Magazine, writing stuff for them, for the magazine, and also hosting the podcast. So I have my own podcast right now, the Bear World Podcast, which you can hear. You can go to www.bearworldmag.com and you can hear me on the podcast. But anyway, um, so that's what I've been doing and I like it. I like what I'm doing right now. But like as Nate said, there's a lot going on in the world right now, especially with Black people. A lot going on, um, and right now. Well, first of all, before I go into all that, can I just stop for a second and also pay my respects to Martique,
Mm,
um, who was my little brother and my friend. That hit me hard after all the crazy stuff that we've been through. I mean, it's been some crazy shit this entire year, but
mm-hmm.
to have that, I was not expecting for Nate to call me and tell me that. So I'm just like, what the absolute? I can curse on the radio. What the fuck? I was
Mm-hmm.
literally just like, what the fuck? Like I just couldn't I just couldn't fathom what was happening. So but yeah, Martique, every time I had something that I was doing, Martique was one of the first people to know about it. Martique was in my first show that I wrote and directed and produced, which was at the Strand Theater. Martique was in my production, my self-produced production of The Brother Size that I did in 2013, where he played my little brother. And I literally called Martique and asked him to do that because like I was so always so enthralled with Martique and his performances on stage and stuff. So that really shook me. So pay my respects. I can't make it because I was not able to get a plane ticket like in such short notice because this was so like I didn't know trust nobody knew this was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
um but we did his New Orleans crew, me, Elisa, and Riga. We put together and sent some flowers for the funeral and everything just to pay our respects because we are his New Orleans crew. We were his crew of people from the NO, and we love him, so we just wanted to make sure that we let everybody know how we felt. But with that said, like 2020 has been the craziest year. We got stuff happening, not only with the pandemic, which is they have found out, is affecting Black people more than any other race of people in the country right now or in the world right now. It's affecting Black people. But then on top of that stress, on top of that craziness, we got all the stuff with, all the stuff we've been going on since 2012. It feels like, I mean, it's been before that, but it feels like this most recent iteration with all this violence towards Black people started in 2012 with Trayvon Martin, and it just been
Mm-hmm.
going on over and over and over and over again, and it's reaching that boiling point where people are fed up. Black people are fed up with not being respected and not being treated right. Um, White people, some of them can't get it together and understand where Black people are coming from, and like really, you know, just like really check their privileges. You know what I'm saying? And the things that they have that we have never really had the chance to have in America because were prevented from having it. And it's just reaching a boiling point. The entire American system is literally created on, it's built on the back of slavery and genocide and all
And
these,
supremacy.
and supremacy and all these things. And it's really just, it's getting to a head now, and that head is about to be popped. And I can feel it. I can feel it. Like I can feel the tension. I can feel everything. My partner, who is white, who is the first white person I've ever even thought about being in a relationship with, and he ain't American. So that goes to show you what I feel about a lot of these white American people. But But like,
That's
you
true.
know, even he said, when he comes to America, he's like, when he visits me in New York, he's like, you can feel the tension. He was like, you
Mhm.
can literally feel the tension with like the racial tension in America right now, and it's very uncomfortable. And he was thinking about moving to America for the longest. He's wanted to live in New York City, but like his whole mind and attitude about it is changing now because of Trump, because of all the racial tension, because of all the stuff that he's seeing. And he watches this stuff more than I do
Right.
every day, and he's pissed off about it. And like,
It's at a point because I talked to Marty about it, and many times on the show, based on the conversation that you and I have, and a couple of my other friends that live abroad have. Uh, People aren't as optimistic about America, the United States, more
yeah,
importantly, as they used to be. But
yeah,
at the same time, uh, based on what has happened during this moment of unrest and the pandemic, places where you're in the UK right now, so you also have uh, you can feel it there. It's not just being here, but
hmm,
people around the world seems the black and brown people around the world are now feeling it,
they
and
feeling it.
demonstrations are happening around the world.
Hmm.
Um, how is it there in comparison to because you were here for the first couple months of the pandemic, then you went
Yeah.
over there. So how is it different? Not just on the side of the pandemic, but just the in terms of Black Lives Matter and uprising and
Ev-
protests and such.
Over here, everybody's still feeling it. Like, I was in New York for the pandemic from March when it first began all the
Hmm.
way to the end of June is when I left to come to New York, and I waited until like, like all the infection numbers were going down in New York, because New York was one of the hardest hit, and
Hmm.
so was London, which is where I'm at now. And like both of us were like, okay, he couldn't come to America because Trump blocked everybody from coming into America, but I could
Right.
come over. I could come over here. I just had to quarantine for 2 weeks, and we just decided to have me come over here. The day before I came over here, I think there was a protest or like a demonstration, and they've been having protests and demonstrations and everything, and like it's gotten, even over here, it's gotten violent,
Hmm.
with white people like threatening to beat people up, and in the streets. I don't think it's gotten as violent, but there was a lot of unrest here, and some people were like, there were people like, well, what are they protesting over here for? Because this isn't even happening over here. And so like, I think the thing that I see over here is that the UK is traditionally sort of like turn the other cheek or turn a blind eye.
Or
Like
not
they
really
like to,
discuss it really.
yeah, they like to like do that whole like, that's not our business, we're gonna stay out of it thing. But like now I feel like they're starting to realize like this is everybody's business, you know.
Hmm.
I feel like they're starting to come into that realization that this is everybody's business. We can't do that anymore. We don't have the luxury of doing that anymore, of
Especially when you
saying,
make
oh, we're not
your
participating in
economy
it.
is based on a lot of what we give to it. So you can't ignore money issues. And they're looking at it as us just complaining about financial issues, but it looks like
Mm-hmm.
they were bringing down
Yep.
statues and stuff over there. So the
Yeah.
problem is worldwide, wherever you find black and brown people.
Yeah. Exactly, and that's what they're starting to realize. And so that part of it is good. Even the black people over here, like I have this conversation all the time. Black people over here, they're black, but they have a different experience. They still are discriminated against. They still face discrimination, of course, but
Hmm.
it's in a different way. Like I said, I feel like America is like literally. I, I feel like America is literally built on white supremacy, and All of these things are built into the fabric of our country, and it's not like that here. There was like slavery and racism and stuff here, but it almost feels like it happened on such a smaller scale than it did in America, or it wasn't as outright as it is in America. People in America were like, we're gonna lynch niggas type of people, where these people are just sort of like it can be sort of what do you call it, subtle. The racism can be very subtle, but it's not it doesn't appear to be as violent, and it doesn't appear to be as toxic as it is in America sometimes. And that's just my perception being an American here. There are black people from the UK that might say something completely different. But because they do face racism. But the thing is, like, it's American racism is just a whole another beast. And so people are starting to wake up and realize, that wow, this is really happening to people around the world, and we need to do something about this. So I feel that energy over here too, like something is about to happen. People don't know what it is, but something's about to happen.
It's unfortunate right now because, well, I'm not for us, but for one of the things that I'm worried about are children, and how this impacts tomorrow. Right now, we're seeing here in the States where our numbers haven't really stabilized or just stopped growing, and we're struggling with how we're treating our students. Now, more of the private schools are more equipped to private and parochial schools are more equipped to doing virtual learning, where most of our inner city students aren't. So right now, there's a big question as to next week, when a large majority of students will go back to school. Will they, send a lot of our inner city students back to school? And race seems to come up in every single facet, whether it's the healthcare or financial or now education. And it seems like we keep getting the lower end of the stick in every situation. It appears that we have Curtis has joined us. Are you there, Curtis?
I'm here.
He is.
I'm doing hands-free driving, so
okay. Be safe. Be safe.
All right.
But in terms of our conversation today, we're talking a lot about just the potential 2020 exodus of Black people from this country, which is the United States. And it seems like something that's far-fetched, but many people have already started. We have a growing population of like tiny house people and off the grid people that are growing within the United States. We have a lot of people who are seeking dual citizenship from other countries. A lot of people who have already started. Well, a lot of people already started it, but now it's become a stronger connection. I'm seeing that a lot of people have already moved to Africa and building that that kind of journey, that road to people being able to easily transition over. You're starting to see it more. I'm starting to see more videos from YouTube with people showing us the property over there, the real estate, how to, what to do, what not to do. People are already starting to now plan to move to Canada. Now people talking, Marty was talking about Mexico or the DR. A lot of people no longer want to be in this country because we never feel protected, but now it is obvious that we're not being protected. And I asked Kyle to come on for one reason. I wanted to, see what the possibility is in moving out, and Kyle hasn't officially moved yet, but I don't believe it's a far-fetched idea. But me and Kyle were talking about dual citizenship. So not necessarily leaving the United States, but living there with the possibility of coming. And me and Marty spoke on Monday. Will it be a country for us to come back to? or if he gets another 4 years, will we be allowed to come back after seeking dual citizenship or moving to another country? Will we be allowed? And this feels like that era when Black people were being blackballed and such, where people felt the need that they had to be, they had to move over, to the other country just to find safety or to be able to live a normal existence. We have many Eartha Kitt, um, what's his name, the writer, many of the Harlem Renaissance writers and poets and individuals. They left their they were often they died overseas because they wanted to uproot themselves and move out. But in terms of you, Kyle, what would life be without the United States? Or do you see a life without the United States? Oh, his computer froze. You want to answer that question, Curtis, while we wait on Kyle to come back?
I think America is the greatest country in the history of civilization. I think my ancestors paid a hefty price for America to become America.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no problem with people who want to leaving. I say good riddance. And for the people who want dual citizenship, that's cool too. But I think it's foolish for us, after all that our ancestors have gone through, to make America great as it has been, as it continues to be. It's not perfect, but it's going to get better if we decide to make it better. I think it would be foolish right now to go anywhere and think that it's going to be a place better than America. Now, if for certain individuals, it may be, but in the wide, big scope of things, I think America is where it is, and it's only going to get stronger. Now, if you think that some of us who leave here and are privileged enough to leave here, no matter what our status may be, but primarily people who have a little bit of money or people who, their arts and their careers can take them other places, I think that, it's nothing wrong with taking advantage of those opportunities, but so-called Black American people as a community, a collective, just abandoning the ship after all of the blood that has been spilled, for anybody to come here. Because think about it, you want to run, but everybody else is trying to get here. And I don't know nobody from Nigeria that's talking about going back there. I don't know nobody from Jamaica even that's talking about running back there.
But
I don't know nobody from Cuba who's talking about running back there.
I would really begin to reach out to people outside of this country, and none of them, for the most part, are looking at the United States as the place to be right now. None of them are. And it has nothing to do with the pandemic at all. But many people that I've personally spoken to, and I have people that live on army bases around the world.
Okay, they're living on the army base. So let me say this about the people that's leaving real quick. And this is something I'm going to show you. Almost none of them motherfuckers is in the trenches. They not in the real hoods in these countries they going to. So all this bullshit they talking, I know people that get up and leave. Listen, bro, they are not.
That's moving,
listen, you cannot leave here and go to the hardest part of Nigeria and think that you're going to just live some kind of easy, schmeezy life. That is some nonsense. There's niggas over there that got to walk 2 miles to get water to wash their hands.
Understanding where we are right now in the country, nobody, I don't think anybody wants to leave the United States that is from here. My problem is life somewhere else seems better, and it feels better. Even the unknown feels better than what we have right now. And it may not be an issue for you. It may not be an issue for you, sir, but many of us are struggling with our patriotism, our love for this country, because many of us, myself, and I can't speak for Kyle, but I'm quite sure he understands it to a certain degree. We've tried it. We're waiting for that promise, and then every year it's being pushed
You
off.
gotta give yourself the promise. I'm not asking these white people for nothing, bro.
Let Kyle go for a second. Go ahead, Kyle.
I think it's, I think it can be looked at so many different ways. There's so many different like opinions about like what we can do. I think just for some people do have the attitude, which I understand, like we fought too hard to be here. I'm not leaving, and that's a valid way to look at it. But then there are some people who kind of feel like, they've, especially people who have been in, who served the country in like the Marines or the Army or something, or people who have had family members who were, Black people who were police officers. I've heard of Black police officers walking away from their positions because they just can't do it anymore. And like people who have served this country who feel like a little bit like they're in an abusive relationship. Like I'm in an abusive relationship with my country because I love my country, but my country doesn't love me. My country.
Hold on, when you say they're walking away from their job because they can't take it anymore, can't take what? What are you talking about?
They
can't take what? Because I don't get that.
They can't take.
They can't handle the job anymore.
Hold on. I can't do that today because I just don't. So I want everybody to listen to each other.
No, I'm saying can't take what?
Everybody all have a perspective, so I just want to be heard.
This is my problem. Sometimes we throw out blank statements or words. Many, for example. Many who?
Curtis, many. Understand? These are not blank statements. No, wait a minute, Curtis. These are not blank statements. These are individuals who really feel that way. I have family members as well as friends within the police department and the services that no longer feel the same obligation to that job and that career path as they did in going into.
When you say they feel they can't
but you have to listen to
are you saying that they feel? No, I did listen, but I'm asking him to clarify something he said. He said feel they can't take it. What is the it? What are you talking about? Because I know people, we had this discussion and I said, I know people who are walking off of the job as officers because they feel that their rights are being violated, not by white people in the street or nothing like that. They feel like they are not going to get due process. So are you talking about that they feel like it's no due process for them doing their job? Or are you talking about they don't like how they see Black people being treated? Which ones are you talking about? That's what I'm trying to get at because everybody doesn't feel this.
Let him answer the question, Curtis. Let him answer the question.
I was talking specifically about Black people who don't like how Black people are being treated.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Black police officers who don't like how Black people are being treated and they don't want to work for a system where they feel like Black people are not being treated right. They're not being treated right. That's basically what I was speaking about. But there are police officers who are walking away from their jobs also because they don't feel protected in their job as Black people. So there are many different facets of it. But
as Black people or as officers? Because some of them are thinking about Black. Some of them, all right, so what about the ones who identify with the blue and also being Black and feel Black people are being treated fine, but are also walking off the job because they feel that the job is not a safe environment for them? Like that's what I mean by these blanket statements, man. And it's not fair.
But that's not a
Black people are not a monolith. We are not a monolithic people.
And nobody is sick, Curtis. I'm not going to let this conversation go to that point today. I refuse to let it go to that point because on this platform, we're going to discuss all different perspectives. And I'm not going to have a bunch of Trump rhetoric being brought into this conversation.
Hold on. Y'all are not discussing different perspectives. You're discussing one perspective from your circle.
Yeah, but it's not.
You're not discussing the perspective. Because I'm a free Black man, so I don't feel that way.
But that's why I sent you the link that way, so we can all get our perspectives. Even between me and Kyle, we still differ on various opinions. But what I'm saying today on this platform, unlike any other platform that is out there, I'm gonna always allow everybody to have their perspective. And I'm not a monolith either. I don't prescribe or subscribe to that notion that this country is safe and that I feel safe in this country, because I don't. As a black man, and you and I have talked about this, I don't feel safe in this country. And it's not just from other black people, it's from the people who are in power in general, whether they be black faces or white faces or brown or orange or whatever. It's the people I don't feel safe with. And right now the conversation is based on, should I stay or should I go? Many people do not feel comfortable, and they feel more comfortable going into the unknown situation than they do staying in a country that they've been in for their whole entire life. That's what I'm speaking about. And I brought my friend Kyle on here because Kyle is on that journey right now. He's in between that decision. So I wanted to bring about that whole conversation, because not everybody believes or thinks like you do, Curtis. And I sent you the link because I wanted your perspective. I respect your perspective. I don't agree with it, but we're going to listen and be heard on every facet, on every person that's on the show today. I just don't have the patience for that today. Go ahead, Kyle.
Go ahead.
What I was saying was, like, for me, it's different, because, like, I'm not. The thing is, like, this whole everything that's happening is sort of happening in a sense that I was already on this path to, like, trying to move, or like trying to be in between two places, but that was just because of my own personal journey, what I was doing. But when all of this started happening, it started being a question in my brain, is like, because I believe in the universe, I believe in things moving for a particular reason, and I'm like, was this moving me in this reason, in this direction, for this reason? And people can feel how they want to about that. That may be a little bit too out there, too spiritual for some people. Some people may identify with that. Some people may say it was God telling them to move. But, like, what I'm saying is, like, just for me, to hear people over here tell me things, like my partner tells me things like, when you go back to, he told me, when you go back to America, or when you go back to New York, I don't feel like you're safe. He told me that. I didn't tell him that. He told me that because he's looking at everything that's happening, and the way that we are coming across to the entire world right now, whether we want to look at it or not, they can see what we can't see. They can see aspects of this conversation and aspects of this, what's going on, that we can't see because we're in the thick of it. But they're on the outside looking in, and they can see things. And when you have people on the outside looking in starting to tell you these things, that sometimes it starts making you think, like, wait, hold up, what the fuck is really happening? And so for me, just being black, because like, I've never experienced, a police officer pulling a gun out on me or anything like that. But I have experienced a police officer profiling me at 5 o'clock in the afternoon while I'm walking to my house in Baltimore, when I lived in, what they call Bolton Hill, and stopped me on the corner right before I got to my house and told me I fit the description of somebody who just committed a robbery, a few blocks over. And I was coming from work with a bag on my back and, like, a work badge on, and I fit the description of somebody that just finished doing a crime, looking like that. That told me right then and there that the description I fit was black, and that was pretty much it. You know what I'm saying?
Just had a comment that came in that said, the last time I left the country, I was asked where did I come from, and I was embarrassed to tell them the United States of America. That seems like a issue that I'm hearing from people, and this is not just. I don't think that this is just a couple people who don't like Trump or don't like Republicans. I think it's an issue that we've been feeling. No, a lot of us have been feeling this for a long time. My fervor and my energy behind this is because now we are seeing the blatant disrespect, the blatant oppression that we've all known was there. We all have personal experience. Myself, and I talked about the incident where I've never been pulled over by a police officer until me and Kyle went to a trip to Philly one time. And just me going across the street to the market, to the shopping center, I was stopped by 2 police officers in the midst of the Freddie Gray uprising. And I was afraid to tell them where I was from because it would only fuel it. And once they saw my ID, it was like, it became a battle at that point, almost them mocking me because of where I come from. And that was scary to me because I didn't have my, I couldn't call Kyle. Kyle didn't even know where I was at the moment. I'm not from Brooklyn, New Jersey, so nobody knew me. And we were in the we was like behind a bank. So it was like, it would have been nothing for them to do something to me or carry me away, or it would have been none of those things. And this isn't about Trump. It's about the world that has come out of hiding since he's become president. And I can't blame all of that on him.
No. That's wrong.
Sir,
it's
I don't know what type
hiding.
of black you are, but the type of black I am, I can feel.
That's not a world. Well,
so Nate,
let me put it this way. I don't even.
I want Curtis to talk about what kind of black. What is your experience being a black man in this country?
Well, I've had the police pull guns on me. I know what that is, but I've also had black men do it many times more. So for all this stuff that people think I'm a supporter of one thing or another. What I am is I'm a sovereign individual. That's how I see myself. When you start to recognize your own divinity, you realize anywhere you go on this planet, you got an aspect of God in you, and you're responsible for your own safety. Point blank. I don't care if I'm in Ethiopia, Canada, or Baltimore City. I'm responsible for me. I don't trust nobody to take care of me or look out for me more than I look out for myself. So with that in mind, if I'm in Baltimore, I'm going to move a certain way. If I'm in France, I'm going to move a certain way. I'm not going to live my life by fear. And I understand that people, if anything, they're more afraid of me as a so-called black man. But I don't like using that word black to describe myself because of the energy that's attained to it. When did we start calling ourselves black? When they told us to. So I'm not going to use that word. I'm an original man. That's what I am. I've been here before they got here. I'm going to be here when they gone. And the proof is on the continent of Africa. Right now, the average age of citizens on the continent of Africa is 19 years. That would be the same for the black community right here in America if we were not killing our children. See, so a lot of our problems are bigger problems. We need to be more concerned about how safe we are around ourselves. When we change that, everything else changes. When we start to recognize God in ourselves, everything else changes. I ain't worried about a cop. And I ain't worried about the nigga on the street no more neither. If we want to change this, we could change it tomorrow. What y'all gonna? We gonna complain? We gonna cry? We gonna talk about somebody else taking responsibility for us, or are we gonna fix it?
Nobody is pointing any fingers at this point, Curtis. But many of us don't feel comfortable. Many of us just want to be. Many of us
you should never feel comfortable here. You should never feel comfortable here.
No, I'm gonna feel comfortable where I lay my head, where I pay my bills, where I vote, where I do my.
But that's not reality, bro. That's not reality. You got a target on your back. You got a target on your back, whether you accept it or not.
That's not your reality, Curtis. But in my reality,
you have a target on your back.
And if it takes me moving to another country or going somewhere else to feel that level of comfort, that's what I'm gonna do for me personally.
You could do that, but you think you're not gonna face the same problems there?
But you can't speak for everybody. You can't speak for everybody in that moment. And we may see the same issues if we move to Africa or Europe or wherever else we decide. But here, you're speaking about and that argument about we fought too hard. We didn't ask to come here. So the fight that we was fighting,
some of us were already here, bro. Some of that is a myth. Some of that is a myth because some of us were already here. Some of us was already here. That's my point.
System, sir.
Hold on, no, that's not a belief. That's not a belief. That's not a belief. That's a fact. Some of us were already here.
So, sir, but that's
hold on.
That's still
Excuse me. History shows that we were here before Columbus. If you're gonna argue that, then you're living in an alternate reality. My point is,
I said at the top of the show.
So
wait a minute, Curtis. I said at the top of the show. We're gonna stay on topic today.
We are on topic.
I'm saying it, Curtis.
Because we're staying on topic. This is my
I'm
point.
not going off.
This is my point.
I didn't even bring up Trump. So
you
the fact
just
that
did.
brought
You
him,
just did.
Curtis, I'm gonna
just
say it one more time. Either you will comply or we're not having this conversation. Because that's not
cool.
what my conversation
That's cool.
was.
What I'm saying is
safety
you're talking about safety, so I'm making a valid point. We are prisoners of war. We are prisoners of war. How are you going to feel safe in a war? That's not even grounded in reality, bro. That's not even grounded in reality.
Curtis,
you are in a war right
I'm gonna
now.
say this one last time. Don't speak for me.
You're in a
Do not
war.
Speak for me.
You are in a war.
Speak for me.
You are in a war. You are in the war.
I'm gonna say this to you one last time. Either we gonna deal with this in a civil way, or you're not gonna be on here. And I don't want to get into that point, but I can't.
And that's fine because you're shooting one perspective off, and that's okay. It's your show, and it's your right to do that.
You know what, Marty?
But I'm a free black man.
That's cool. Let him
that's
go.
Cool.
Let him go. We're not doing that today, because that's part of the reason I have these conversations now, and I feel more comfortable having them, because I'm not going to build in a moment where we're not willing to listen to each other. I don't give a damn where Trump is. Trump is going to be comfortable with or without us, and I'm not having that. So if you call in or if you're a guest on the show, I'm not saying you have to believe what I believe, but I'm not going to speak hatred, and I'm not going to feel this moment with hatred. This is the one moment out of the week where I get to be peaceful, and I don't have to deal with the others or the other things that's out there.
What I'm trying to understand, about his perspective, and I was like, just sitting here quiet because I'm like, this is your show, and I'm gonna let you handle it.
I'm not quiet. You know that. I'm not doing that.
I know.
And I don't feel comfortable doing that. I've never had to kick somebody off a show before. What I'm saying is, Kyle, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's just how we have to deal with each other. Because it's not it's the same thing as a rich problem. If you're rich, I don't really have to deal with that. If you're under the radar and you're not dealing with the day-to-day, I don't feel comfortable in this country. Us going to New Jersey that time, my whole outlook on living in Philly changed that day. Because if I've never had to deal with that in the city that I'm coming from, I'm never going to move somewhere and have to deal with those things. So I'm glad we did test the waters out, but I'm not for that, one-sided. I can't do it. Go ahead, Kyle. I'm sorry. You said you don't understand that perspective. I think that's what you were saying. Oh, his screen froze again.
So he frozen. I said he frozen.
So I'm glad we did. Here you go. Just frozen. And one of the things I'm just at this point, I'm just in a space because this is why we won't get past this moment. And it's gonna be hard for us to get past this moment because we have individuals like Curtis that don't want to see the reality that everybody else is seeing. He's made decisions, and I'm not going to pick on Curtis because there are many people like Curtis that feel the way Curtis feels. That's why I always wanted him to have his perspective on our Friday shows, because there are many people that we're coming across and we're seeing in the news or social media that feel that way. And I understand that perspective because I've been that angry before, but I no longer want to work within anger anymore. I don't want to deal with life in anger. And I don't see leaving as a flea. I see it as a possibility for me to grow outside of that. Mm-hmm. I'm tired of living in a country where I don't feel comfortable. And you can make your house and your home as comfortable as possible, but at some point you still got to leave out that door.
I'm tired of living in a country where your own people are getting sadder.
Yeah.
No one is being lifted up by their bootstraps. It's just a bunch of sadness and death and cruelty.
Just dealing with stuff.
And in a system, and again, they're using the right words. They're just not portraying the right people. For me, because they're using the right words when they say it's systematic. Because when you say it's systematic, that means it's hitting every facet of a person's life.
And it is, and it's. I don't know when I started to realize it, but I remember learning about it as a child and then starting to see all the areas that we were affected by it.
Mhm.
And sometimes you don't understand it when you've lived a certain way. And it was because my mother sheltered me and made our home kind of my solace. So I didn't have much understanding of street life until I became an adult. So a lot of that understanding, I'm so angry at this point because I've watched the whole week of the RNC. And I watched many of the black speakers and many of the white speakers deny the existence that I live in. And the only time they pointed out as the young lady that's running from the seat that Kwesi Mfume is holding right now, she pointed it out only as a means to shut us down.
Mhm.
It had nothing to do with where we really were. You back, Kyle?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. It was let me
It's
see
the
if I
ocean.
stop sharing my video for a second. Is that better?
We can still
Yeah,
hear
you
you.
can.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
that'd
the
be fine.
ocean. It's the ocean. We get it.
Marty is
Can you hear
a
me?
mess. Yeah,
Mhm.
we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay.
The ocean is breaking up your signal.
I don't know what's going on right now.
Atlantic. It's the
It may
Atlantic
just be
Ocean.
Wi-Fi. All of us going through that right
But
now.
hello?
We got you, Kyle. You're
We
there.
can tell you, hear you.
Okay.
We can hear the
No,
waves now.
but his perspective was skewed. And he was saying like yours was skewed, but like I really don't. I was sitting here because I'm really trying to understand what he's talking about, and I couldn't understand anything that he was talking about. It just sounded like he was trying to blame all the problems of black people on black people. And
Right.
I'm just like, how, what, where does that come from?
Mhm.
Well, it comes from it, in my opinion. I'm not going to speak as my opinion is law or fact. I believe that perspective comes from us being tired of always being less than, and
Yeah,
us fighting to be respected, us fighting to be counted, our perspective and being wanted to be chosen and wanted to be outside of that thing over there. And
he was
I
acting.
remember first understanding that because once I became an adult and wasn't under the reins of my mother, I felt that. Like, how could you just get high your whole life? Or how can you just be on social service your whole life and not understand that the system was made for them to depend on it?
Yeah.
Depend on those things that make us look bad or make us embarrassed.
And whoever he was, Curtis, he was trying to deny that. He was trying to deny that a system has been put in place to keep black people down. And I'm like, how can you deny that looking at all the things that are happening around us? That doesn't make sense.
And I don't want to. I'm not dogging you out at all, Curtis. If you're still listening, I know your sister's on the line, but I'm not dogging you out at all. But that mindset is what is keeping us from really achieving. Because if there are people out there that think that or feel that, that shows the others, the powers that be, how to treat us. We're then telling people, well, those people don't really want that much more, or we're being always told that our mindset is what's keeping us down. It's not our mindset. It's what we've been indoctrinated to, what's been drilled in our head. And I always use this example. Okay, I have this individual that's on social services that's getting food stamps and maybe a paycheck from social services. Now I'm being told, go out and get a job. So I go out and get a job. Now I can't afford to eat. I can't afford health care. I can't afford the basic needs in life, let alone all the wants and desires. I can't afford those basic needs. If I go out and get a job, right now, jobs aren't giving me 40 hours. Jobs are giving me under 32 hours, under $15 an hour, which we know you need at least 20 to $25 an hour to be able to survive, basically survive. And in this world. People frauding the system and getting over with the system because it's comfortable. If I know I have $194 to eat off of this month, I know I have that money. With a job, I don't know that. I may not even have $194 to eat off with that month. So that mindset keeps us in a struggle where I can't grow. I would rather sit on social service and know I have at least this amount coming in, and I get free health insurance, and I get food, and I get a bit of money where I can get toiletries. And that's not even the norm for a lot of people on social service. Right. And we blame each other so much. And a lot of it, you have to point the 4 fingers pointing back at you. You have to see that. The 3 fingers pointing back at you. You have to understand your responsibility in that. But on a greater scheme, as you said, systematic racism, it's real. It's not. That's not something.
I wanted to ask him if he knew, about all of the shit that they did to Black people in the 50s and 60s when they wouldn't give Black people like loans for their homes, and they were giving these white people all of this money to move into the city, and they were specifically building it so that Black people had to depend on the system and stay in the hood. This is what America has done to us time and time again. So it's like you can't really to deny that. Him speaking against that makes me feel like this. And I didn't say a lot of this while he was online because for one, I couldn't really say anything because he was talking a whole lot and not listening. But I'm just sitting here. I was sitting here just listening, literally just listening to what he's saying. And I was trying to understand. He was trying to understand what I was saying, saying I was making a blanket statement, but I thought the statement that I made was very straightforward. It sounded like he was speaking in riddles.
You say the same thing I say every single Friday.
I was I'm just trying to understand, Monty. I don't get it. I just
there's a narrative, Kyle. There's a narrative, Kyle, that is out there that everybody isn't unhappy with this country. And everybody hasn't been unhappy with this country. And if a Black person is unhappy, it has to be something of their own doing. It can't be the United States. And Trump has done everything possible to make Black people's lives any better. That's a marketing ploy that Trump and his team has put out there.
And with you saying that, Nate,
go ahead.
And with you saying that, Nate, I'm in a different place than most people in the whole entire city of Baltimore. My bills are always paid.
Marty's a rich bitch. That's what he's trying to tell you.
I'm just saying, I'm in a different situation than most people in Baltimore City. And my unhappiness does not come from my own life. My unhappiness comes from my surroundings. If I'm surrounded by disappointment, you're going to feel disappointed in what you're surrounded by.
Right.
And I'm disappointed.
An individual like yourself, Marty, you still have a level of concern because you have a business.
Right.
So people have to support that business.
Right.
And if people are unable to support it,
then my business fails. And then my business fails. And then what am I doing?
Yes. So that's my perspective. And I don't think anybody is blaming or complaining. I just think many of us are tired of the struggle. I'm tired of struggling. And I've worked very hard as an artist, as an entrepreneur, as a Black man, where I shouldn't have to worry about those types of things. I shouldn't have to worry about that. I shouldn't. And we're back at this moment again where we're colliding with each other. Mm-hmm. And we've said many times, it's going to take us being able to work together and being able to see each other's perspective on these issues and not even agreeing, but just being able to understand that you feel this way, but this is something we need. And that need needs to be in the middle. Right now, the need is going back and forth. We need to all have a common need. And it has to start with respect. It has to start with appreciation for our input. Yeah, we have many perspectives based on what your belief system is or your religion is, whether, who was here first. And I don't think that's a part of the equation because we were all in this world together, and the fact that we're in this country right now, we're having these issues.
I really wanted to ask him too. I wish he would have just stayed on. But
I couldn't do it no more.
I didn't put it. I did put it for the record. I did not kick him out. He left, but I wish he would have stayed on though, and just level down a little bit, but not conform, but level down, because it was a bit much. But I wish I could have asked him, because he kept saying we are prisoners of war. What war? Be specific in the war that you're talking about, because if there's a war going on,
the war is the same thing we're talking
right,
about.
but the war is uncomfortable. That's the thing. So for any of us to have a level of comfort to live in this country, we have to end the war. Now, how, if you're recommending that we're prisoners of this war, my question would have been, so how do we end the war? And no one is ever going to have an answer to that question. That's
where we all meet in the middle, with that need that I speak about. So how do we end this? How do we end this cycle? How do we get ourselves out of this cycle? How do we prevent people from?
He don't know. That's why
Mm-hmm.
I say he don't know. That's why he can't. That's why he could say it. And like,
but I don't think any of us know.
I didn't even know I was fighting a war.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. Like, he doesn't know. With like, in none of us, I wasn't being shady towards him. I was just being honest. Like, he don't know. That's why
I didn't know I was in a war.
You know,
I want to know what war it is I'm fighting, because knowing that would give me some ammunition to maybe possibly help fight the war. But the war has never been described to me. All I see is evil.
That we speak about, it's honestly, it's a lot that we can do, but a lot of it is these so-called allies. And it's going to take other people waking up that are not Black. We have a lot of things to do within our own culture, but a lot of this stuff, systematic racism, we can't destroy that. That has to be destroyed by the Creator.
And I know you remember what I used to say all the time. None of this is going to end. But see, the problem also is that it's being indoctrinated into their children. Because I used to always say this: none of this is going to end until they all die off. The racists have to die off. But they are now indoctrinating their own children with their beliefs,
and it gets
which is continuing the process.
Me going to school with a lot of, I think, second, third generation racism. The problem is the younger generation of non-Blacks and Blacks, they don't see it as racism. This is just how it is.
Right.
A lot of the people who set up these systems and like the projects or social services, these are the great grandparents of the people that we're speaking out, that we're coming in contact with on an everyday basis. And that's just how it was. That's just, that's why many of them say, I'm not racist. I have Black friends, but you still let the things happen to your Black friends. And you could speak up and say something about it.
Right.
But
what's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. Right.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't think any of us have a clear answer. And many of us, like for me moving to another country, in my mind, that's what solved the problem for me. And that's what I've come up as an individual. Collectively, I don't think we have an answer. And
no, we don't. Me and you just spoke about this the other day. And what I told you, I feel the end result is going to be, and the end result I feel is going to be is the Civil War 2, the second Civil War, because civility is going out of the window. There is no such thing as civility today.
No.
Because everybody feels they have the freedom of speech, which they do. But your speech cannot be derogatory to the next person, because they're not going to like it, and which is going to cause a fight.
Yeah. Because we're not really understanding where people coming from, and then we forget. And I say Civil War because the last Civil War was fought by us, right? Majority of us fighting another war that we had really nothing to do with. And that's what I was about to say. It wasn't for us. We was fighting a war that wasn't for us. But do you know the difference between that war and the war today would be having us have to fight again? But this time for us, right? That's the difference between the two wars, right? This, and I don't think the outcome will be. I don't think the outcome is going to be pretty. Right,
No.
because many of us fought that first war. Well, those people fought that first war because we wanted status in this country.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to be taken seriously, and many of our ancestors who fought in
Right,
that
but
war,
this time it's going to be for what we think is due to us. That civil war is going to be ugly in the fact that we're going to start taking things versus destroying it.
I think there's a little bit of all of that in it. I think that a lot of it is going to be because people want equality, but some people want power.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the thing is, like,
we want the right to decide.
Yeah,
how we live.
But
it still has to be a consensus.
Agreed. Exactly.
You
Consensus is the perfect word.
War and you really want supremacy over somebody else or over your own people.
I do believe. I think he came back. Hold on.
No, that's his sister.
Okay, good. All right.
Hello, Miss Tonia. I know I say your name wrong every time. How you doing?
I look a mess right now.
You somebody's mother. You get a pass.
I was still kind of working all day.
This is Curtis's sister. I don't know. I think you and Kyle know each other because y'all both went to Coppin.
Yeah, I remember
commonality.
Hi, sister.
But I asked Tonia because she was typing her life away in this section, and it honestly, and I just sent a message to Curtis myself, and it wasn't that I don't understand him or even I'm angry at him. It's just right now I think we need to work on our commonality and our that middle ground because we are losing this war. Like we just lost somebody again last week. Like in the same way. Go ahead.
I'm gonna switch my seats a little bit, but so it's so many different facets of this conversation that I want to tap into, right? But
that's why I just said log on because I couldn't address one.
So the main thing is like we really have to pay attention to language that we use when we're addressing things, because that's probably why he stated. I wasn't on when Cal made his statement, but that's probably or the other young man, but that's probably why he said it was a blanket statement because of the language. So we got to be careful of the language that we use because that's how the hearer is going to perceive it. We want to make sure whatever language we use is not inclusive for or a cover, speaking for everyone, but it's our point of view, right? Our opinion, which everyone is entitled to. Secondly, we got to make sure that we don't negate somebody else's experience or opinion or how they view things, because our reality forms, right, our perception. And so we can't denounce someone else's perception because we haven't walked in their shoes, because that's still someone else's reality.
Right.
And not only that, we have to understand that that's not just how they feel, but that's one voice of many, and your voice is one of many. So we have to make sure that we're listening, but it also has to be a receiver or a hearer as well, right?
Right.
You learn that in communication, speech 101, whatever.
And this is Antonia, and I remember having similar conversations with you, but at the same time, we all are coming from different perspectives, and we were all raised in a certain perspective. And I understand that, but what has to happen is we have to drop, and not necessarily drop it, but leave those things that built us kind of to the side for a second and be able to hear where other people are coming from. Because I think once we do that, they will say, well, they didn't get this information. Let me give them the information that I have, and let me receive the information, as you just said, that they have, because that's what the problem is. We're learning these things as we're going along, and that knowledge is no longer a tool. It becomes a weapon. And that weapon then keeps us distant.
Let me say this. So in reality, there has been a generation that has dropped the ball of not relaying information, right? And so that's why we have a lot of angry young people right now, because they didn't pass on knowledge, understanding, and critical things that we needed to know as history, real history, not written history, but you know, we come from a people where everything was oral, and so we no longer have that tradition any longer, and so it's a lot of missing parts for us understanding who we are, where we come from, and what we're capable of doing. Right, that's one. Two, even in the written history, we have to be able to decode some things, and one of the things that we all can agree on is that they didn't write out or count every person that was here, right? Of color. So we don't know if it's more of us or less of us, right? We can only go by what they state. Okay, so this is me hitting towards some of the things he's saying, because I do understand the feeling of, or the thought of saying, you know, systematic racism, that's true, right? But we beg to be a part of a system that wasn't made for us in the first place, right? Hence integration. So it wasn't, even when they integrated, it really wasn't for the benefit of us. It was still to keep us down below. So we integrated ourselves with a system. We obey a constitution that was not outlined for us, because we were considered chattel. And it talked about, you know, we hold these truths for, you know, to be self-evident, all men are created equal, but we were not even created to, we were not even
considered those men at the time.
So it wasn't even written for us. We have laws that aren't written for us. We have, you know, all types of things, ordinances that were not created for us. So in that being stated, I understand why where his mindset is. We have proven ourselves to ourselves over and over again to create different ways for us to be successful without being a part of a system that was never created for us.
Right.
It wasn't just one Black Wall Street. We've had several, right? And we created over and over again many times in our little circles, our little villages.
We have one that's emerging right now.
Right. But we have not yet put together a mass agenda, right? That would be successful for us now, right? Because they have evolved, we haven't in a lot of ways. So now we're behind. Okay. Now, in stating that, I think what I'll say about my brother is very passionate. Right? He's extremely passionate. He's very frustrated with us as a people, because he's tired of us feeling like we're fighting to still be a part when we are a set apart people in the beginning, right? That's why they fight to harvest our organs. That's why they fight to do so many things. That's why they're stealing our kids. That's why we're going through these, because we're clearly a set aside people, a set apart people, right? And so he's frustrated with that. But I'm gonna tell you some of the frustration. My brother used to teach, right? And so I don't know if he ever told you this, but in him just speaking to one of the young men about a very young boy, about his pants being down and the way he was talking, the mother came in and wanted to fight him, right? But we fussed about not having enough Black male teachers
as well. So that.
You know, so his frustrations, what I want to say is his frustrations are valid, right? Because we've had this gap in generation, and I hate to say it, but I'm about to say some stuff. I don't care. You probably seen some of my interviews with people. I get crucified on the regular, so I really don't care. But what I'm about to say, a lot of Black women might want to fight me afterwards. I got hands. It's okay. But the problem is the Black women. Us Black women, we want to yell equal, but let's be realistic. We have been set in the forefront because systematically, the system that we decided to be a part of has destroyed the family and put the Black woman in a place where she had to be the headship. Now look at us. I hate to say it, but now it has become generational thought that you can raise that baby by yourself. So we're okay with our families being broken, right? Don't worry about him, girl. Leave that alone. What? No. Because this young Black man still need to see an older Black man making it, right? Still need to see him working by the sweat of his brow, still seeing him being a provider, right? But, you know, we come up with all these thoughts and then we become overbearing on our young Black men. And, you know, then we have young boys not liking their own mothers because the mothers have now become the headship and the authoritative figure And then our minds are warped because the same thing you talked about, the cycle of welfare and all those things. And so they see a mother that doesn't want to get up, that doesn't want to do nothing. And all she sees is what's outside of her front door. So she doesn't have a mind to fight beyond that and know she's better than that. She's bigger than that. She's more powerful than that. You know, even with me, Nate, you know, part of my story when I was in college, got pregnant, me and my son, we co-parent fine. And I see how some women, they look at me like I'm strange because I can get on the phone and laugh with my son's father. What am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to hate him because we didn't make it, we didn't work. No, I'm going to push him still. He gets with other women and date other women. I date other men. And a lot of the women get mad because they feel like we're going to fix it because we're okay. That lets me know our community is used to dysfunction. So a lot of Black women cannot function without dysfunction. We have women who, because they become the head of that household, feel like it's okay to put their hands on men. And then when they get knocked out, they want to yell, I'm a woman. But you put yourself in the place of a man to be treated like a man. It's so many different things I can go into, right?
So you're definitely coming back and tell Curtis lick his wounds and he will come back as well. But this is where we need to be heard. Our argument is all the same. Everything that Kyle was saying, Marty was saying, I was saying, your brother was saying, we're all saying the same thing. I just feel our approach needs to be different.
Like you said, though, Nate, it's because they're all disconnected. Everything she said was perfectly valid. Oh, this morning. But everything she said was perfectly valid. And then it gave me another perspective on what Curtis was saying.
Right.
Because, but it's all of our stuff, everything that we want and go through and talk about is so disconnected.
Thank you, Tony.
And just like you said, it needs to come together.
Yeah.
So,
Tony, we
get your dates together because you're coming back. Get your dates together because we about to make you Curtis's PR. Because it's not, me and him have longer conversations off of here than we do on the show. So it's not that I don't understand him. I just feel like I can't walk around with a hard heart anymore. I'm not growing because of that. And the argument gets distorted when I'm hard-hearted than it does if I've healed my heart and I'm able to move on. And sometimes that has to happen first before I can move on. So it's all about it's about perspective. And this argument is never going to get any better if half of us is hard-hearted and a portion of us don't care no more, and the other half is I'm in it for me. And I don't see any of those things in him. We've talked a lot about family and things that we personally have shared experiences. But it's just, I'm choosing, I can't be hard-hearted against women anymore. I can't be hard-hearted against the Black people who aren't achieving. I can't be hard-hearted anymore, just in general. Because that holds you down. That means you're not going anywhere. And we may get successful with that hard heart, but we really ain't going nowhere. We haven't gone anywhere.
We gotta keep I understand where you're coming from because there's a lot of truth to that. But at the same token, we have to keep a portion of that hardness, right? I'm doing the interview. A portion of that hardness, because my twin here. Say hi.
Hi.
Hey.
We got to keep a portion of that hardness, right, in order to push ahead.
Is it hardness or is it focus? Is it hardness or is it focus?
I'm glad you stated that because I feel like where he is focus, right? And I know my brother very, very well, and he's a very, very every time like one of the hardest working men I've ever seen in my life. I've seen him work on something for like a month straight and not defer from it, right? So, and he's very family oriented. Out of nowhere, we have all these boys in our family, and he's like the second father to all of them, right? All of them love him, all of them adore him. All of them are becoming well-rounded young Black men in our family. So I think it is focus, but I think at the same time, it is a hardness because you gotta, when you realize that some things are right for you, for your people, for your family, and for what the goal is, you got to make sure you are anchored and that you don't waver. You got to make sure that no outside influence can come in and infiltrate what you're building inside. And I believe that's been the main issue with the Black community.
And what you just said is it's in your vocabulary, it's in the verbiage. And anchored and focus is a lot better than harden, because harden, there's no growth there. It's actually dying off.
Yeah.
Once your heart gets that hard, it's dying off. It's
It
not,
becomes stubbornness.
but I get it and I understand it, and I appreciate you for coming on. And I'm about to set some dates. Can you tell people about your show?
I do a show called Let's Chat right now. I go around interviewing mostly the pastors in Baltimore City. And I'm doing that because the church has been the Black agenda hub for decades. You know, 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, even during slavery, we would meet there. And that's where we would come together and figure out what would be the next moves for our community.
Right.
So I've been going around interviewing Black pastors, young Black pastors. I've been interviewing activists, community leaders, and just different
I
people.
haven't been on there for years. I'm just.
We can do this soon. We can do this very soon. I'm supposed to be doing a series on Black mental health in the Black community soon. But that's something that we really need to talk about. But that kind of got disrupted. So me and you can come on and we can chat and just powwow and.
All right. Okay.
All right, you guys.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Have a good one.
Appreciate you. But so Kyle, because we're coming to the end of this conversation, in terms of feeling like we have to leave or being torn between leaving and staying, and understanding all these things, all these topics that are surrounding the issue, all that you just heard, where are you at right now?
Well, it was a lot. You know, to be honest with you, I did more listening. I did more listening than talking. You know, but I think that, you know, what everybody had to say was valid, and I feel like this, you know, this conversation isn't new. This conversation isn't new because this isn't the first time that any group of people who's been, you know, discriminated against where they're from felt like they had to leave. This is the whole point of immigration. This is the whole point of being like some people trying to come to America as refugees. This is the whole point of this of people moving and going to different places. This isn't a new conversation, but it's about it right now. It's about survival, and it's about the best way that people know how to survive for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Some people, it's basically fight or flee syndrome right now. You know, some people want to fight. Some people tired of fighting. They're ready to just run. You know, both of those things are valid, and you have to leave people room to do what it is that they need to do to survive, and that they need to do for their own stability and mental health. It's going to be different for a lot of people. Some people are going to be like, no, I'm not going anywhere. Some people are going to be like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. It's really just depends on the person. But whatever the choice that people make, we have to be ready to support each other in that choice.
You know, a lot of it comes from.
Go ahead.
You know, a lot of it comes from propaganda. Propaganda meaning that people overseas see America as this beacon of something or another, without having a conversation with a citizen.
Yep, and that idea that perspective of America is being snatched from underneath them right now.
And then they don't know. They don't know. The propaganda is being sold that you see all these rappers and R&B and whatever, music artists, country, all of them. They live this certain lifestyle that has been sold all over the world, and this is where they came from. They came from America, but they don't know what the downtrodden looks like. The people that are the majority of us don't live that lifestyle. We try to as much as we can by going to the flea market and purchasing something that says FUBU, Louis Vuitton, or whatever, but it's not real because we made that in our kitchen, in our basements.
But we're seeing that right now in this quarantine.
Right.
We're seeing artists fight for placement and trying to figure out how everybody's scrapping. I don't care how wealthy you were in the midst of this, everybody got concerned and held on to their money a little bit tighter and spent it a little. So that means we're all in the same space.
We just watched the financial. We almost watched the financial system collapse. There's no change. We can't find coins.
And we're still in the midst of that. So we haven't solved that issue yet. I just want us to get on it. We can all disagree and believe certain things. And Tonia and Curtis, their family, it come from a faith-based perspective. And I'm kind of in the middle of faith-based and bullshit. And all of us are coming from different perspectives of this conversation. We just have to realize the commonality, because we're both saying the same thing. The war is saying the same for all of us. It's just how we're addressing it,
how we define it.
And I feel like we can't keep beating each other up off of the mistakes and decisions that we've made as Black people. We can't keep doing that. Like, we got to figure out solutions. I can keep bringing you the problem, but if you ain't brought me no solution, nigga, I'm gonna keep doing the same thing. I don't have no other options at this point. And you're bringing me the problem. This is the problem. This is why you're messing up right now. This is your problem. And it's hard on us because many of us want more. I don't want to believe the mother that's been on social service her whole life don't want more, can only see beyond her 4-block radius. I want to say, because look at what happened during this pandemic. The moment people got that stimulus and then look at what happened. Many of them started businesses. Many of them started, opportunities. They started traveling outside of their We just need the opportunity. We need the resource to be not given to us, but we need to learn how to use the resource and then have it open to us so we can work towards it. So I don't want to believe that we're all in this struggle without any concern or care, because people want more for themselves. They want better. We just ain't never had the opportunity to really, all of us get it. It's been in pockets. The chosen ones, the smart ones, the athletic ones. What about the rest of the people?
Here's a question.
Who don't have those specific talents or gifts?
In this fight, right, do we need a leader? A particular leader?
I think we need, I think gone is the day where we can just have a Martin or just a Malcolm or a Huey P. Newton. I think we are in a space right now where we need various people to be able to speak on behalf of us. We need to learn the language so we can then speak for ourselves.
But then what would be the methodology to keep it on track?
In terms of the
because
struggle,
that experiment is happening right now. We have a million different leaders, but none of their voices are simultaneously saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that happens is those leaders feel as though they're speaking for us. That's why I say we need to then be taught. So I think education needs to happen in a way where we are learning our system. I'm remembering on The View where Sherry Shepherd was open about not knowing anything. Sherry Shepherd was a grown-ass woman who had never voted, didn't know anything about voting, didn't understand anything. If people knew that we chose the Electoral College, I think we would have more power in our Black voice. In terms of us understand that we actually do vote in the president, on both sides of it. And we've been only taught that our popular vote is all we have. But education, I think, is the strongest place for us to be able to continue that. And those leaders or spokespeople, you don't speak for me. They get to a level of power, and then it becomes. That's
why I wasn't even talking about in the fight of the government and stuff like that, because that's a whole different monster. They're in a position where they have to deal with everybody, not a particular culture. I'm speaking on, do we see somebody that can help lead our movement? And it can't. I just think where we branch off is that we try to ask all of these different separatist leaders to speak for us, but honestly, their intentions aren't the same.
That's what it's going to have. It's going to have to be many voices from different perspectives, because we can't have one leader. Like we had a Barack that was a great leader.
But see, he wasn't the leader of us.
Leader
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to define what does our leader look like, because Barack wasn't our leader. He was America's leader.
But it had it been set up where we had leadership on all areas of not only government, but on culture, and we had leaders within the school system. We need a voice in every aspect of this country.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think one sole leader, we're beyond the problem.
I mean, it don't have to be one sole leader, but I'm thinking as far as organization is concerned, right. We're not organized. We're not. Yeah. Regardless if you look at the Black Caucus, if you look at the NAACP or any of those organizations, we are not organized.
Well, what I feel like the problem is, there are many people that are in those various forms that are fighting, but everybody feel like I'm on the front lines of the homeless struggle. I'm on the front lines of the educational struggle. But none of those people are talking to each other.
Because I can use this as an example to say that the NRA is on the other hand speaking for all of them because they have the most power.
Right, and I think what you're saying, is that we need leaders in each of these areas.
Right.
We need leaders in each of these areas to work together.
That's what I mean by organization. If we had a leader that was on specific topics like education and so on, that they all came together.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like we need our own Congress, though. It's almost like we need our own in our own community of Congress that also can represent us on that higher stage as well as on a platform that's nationwide.
But see, I think we're already on a road to that. Look at the Black Lives Matter movement.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all specifically the Black women who have taken leadership roles in that. Look how on it we are with these issues now when it comes to discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a white person can't get away with doing or saying certain things because there's an instant push. Now, that push has to happen from the community. But we have leaderships that guide us through specifically those issues. And if we had that same type of organization within the educational system, within the government, within healthcare, in all the various conversational points, we would be. But those people have to then come together. But what's happening is the Black Lives Matter people feel like their argument is more important. The people over here struggling for education feel like their thing, the health. Everybody feel like their issue is more important than anything else. But all of those issues together is what we need. We need the togetherness. So they need to start, like you said, we need our own government. We need our own semi-government. Now, what happened was the NAACP used to be that government for us.
Mm-hmm.
But they got too into the selfies and the camera time.
I don't know what happened with the NAACP because I don't see them or hear them or notice them in any facet of my life besides the Image Awards. So I don't know what happened.
Right. It's become about the celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
So we're leaving this conversation with the idea that we need to be unified, not only in our actual unity, our physical unity, but our messaging. We need to either force the NAACP to be back where they were, to do with the things that we've been promised that they were supposed to do for us. And then as a community, we can't leave our voice at the ballot box. It needs us. We need to be continuously making sure we are making our leaders, those individuals that we put into office and to these outside leader positions, they need to be held accountable. So when I vote, I can't leave my voice there because I made my decision. Now y'all go, y'all got 4, 2, 6 years to get this shit together. And then at the end of that term, we realize they ain't did shit because we done left our voice there.
You know, and it's so funny that you say that because discovering that Elijah Cummings wasn't my representative was, a sore spot for me because I always thought he was my representative in my district, and he's not. Right. Sarbanes is. And I've never met that man before in my life. Never seen him, never met him, still don't know what he looked like. But I should. Because you at one point should have knocked on my door. At one point, you should have knocked on my door.
But now we realize as community, we need to go out there and get those things for ourselves. We can't wait on them to come to us because they only come to us when it's election time. And then we like, well, who the hell are you? Well, I've been your representative for the last umpteen years.
Right. That's
And
what I'm saying.
who the fuck are you?
I've actually had words with Elijah Cummings before, the late Elijah Cummings, thinking he was my district's representative. Now, you could say it was my fault for not investigating my own district further, but he was in my community.
Government thrives off of that confusion that we have.
Right, because he's came into my community, though. He's been here in my district that wasn't even his, which is how I met him.
Yeah.
And that's weird to me. And the funny part is that I remember voting Sarbanes back in office because he was on that ballot, and that was the only name I recognized because I'm an accountant, and there's that Sarbanes-Oxley legislation in accounting.
Now, what if he was a Trump-esque type of person? You would have been voting for somebody who you didn't even...
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this conversation is going to continue because this is something that I'm educating myself more and more. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who has made, this stint at Big Exposed Radio so great, because I've learned a lot. I've been more active in, say, politics, and not just in my arts or education field, but just thank you to everybody. Thank you to Kyle, first of all, who always coming when I call him. Kyle, can you put...
I wish I was able to say some more.
But we can. It's not over, Kyle. It's not my last day. Like, it ain't my last day. But I want to continue the conversation. Maybe we can do like a private live where it's just you and I talking. But tell us where we can find you at your podcast, where we can, catch up on your writing and on your articles.
Y'all can catch up on my articles on www.bearworldmag.com is usually where all of my stuff is. I'm the deputy editor and staff writer at Bear World Magazine. You can also hear my podcast is on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever streaming service you have. It's on there. Just search for Bear World Podcast and you should be able to find it. There's also a player. If you go to bearworld.com, bearworldmag.com, there's a player where you can also hear the podcast from the website. So it's all up there. Just make sure you follow Bear World Mag on all socials, at Bear World Mag on Twitter and Instagram, and you'll be able to catch up with everything.
And you don't use a pseudonym, so they'll look up your name and all your articles.
Oh yeah. Kyle Jackson.
So go ahead.
It's not. I'm saying it's not the same as on Facebook.
No. I didn't say anything about it. That's not what I posted you as. Soon they'll be connected. We working on Kyle connecting those things. So we go to that point. But Kyle, please continue to be safe.
Thank you. I will.
And get your ass back here. I know you love it and all. Shout out to your boo thing.
You know I'm not going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere yet. Not yet.
Tell him I'm not opposed to coming to get your ass. I have a passport. Let him know that. This is, if things get misunderstood. But again, just being thankful. I didn't really do a lot because I was already working and I didn't really get to pay the attention to it. But thank you, Marty, for having this platform so I could be here this long, and all the various hosts and other individuals that have made this 7 years and plus so great and not so great. You got to add everybody into it, but just being really, happy and really positive that even in the midst of all this, we can really see past a lot of what's going on and focus on just the conversation. If it starts with a conversation, let's start there. Let's be respectful of each other. Let's really make sure we're keeping ourselves not hard-hearted. I understand what Tony was saying, but we can't be that. So any last moments you want to say, Kyle, to Martique or his family or just in general?
Yes, just letting them know that they are in my thoughts and my well wishes, and I'm sending all the positive energy and good vibes I can to them, because everybody knows that Martique was like, everybody loved Martique. And, just as off the wall and goofy and crazy and lovable and endearing as he was, everybody just really, really, really loved Martique. And so I just hope that they know and they feel that love, and they feel that love that we have from Martique extended to them.
Right.
So, yep.
And I'm gonna keep that. As long as I can, keep that alive. And this was just a hard, Martique was that little brother, and I just want everybody to just see each other. So I think the example that Martique had that left us all with is give people their flowers today. Don't wait until you're standing over top of them or you're giving a memorial speech. Give people their flowers today. Tell them how great they are today. Support them today. Love on them today, and give them the things that are necessary to help them move forward today. Don't wait. I know some of us in our own lives, and we get attitudes with each other, and we angry, but I can honestly say if I've ever done anything that offended or disrespected anybody, I apologize. And vice versa. And I accept that, I accept the apology in return. But today is not the day to stay stuck in being hard-hearted. We got to drop that, give people their flowers today. And that's just.
And I just want to let people know the next time I get on the podcast, I'm going to be a little bit louder and crazy. I'm just trying to be quiet right now because it's late here, so I can't be as loud as I want to be. So that's the reason why I'm probably sound like I'm at a funeral or something because because
he had to be comfortable. I get it. You just wanted everybody to be comfortable. I get you. But
phony
throw out of that
bitches.
shit. Sometimes people got to be uncomfortable. But so don't hang up yet, Kyle. But this has been the Artist Exchange Radio Show only on BigExposedRadio.com. Everybody, if that will hear this, if you're listening tomorrow, just send some love to the Artist Exchange page, even if you add us, Cash App me, whatever. Whatever's clever. But definitely continue to support the Artist Exchange Radio Show, Big Exposed Radio. Again, if you're looking for a place to bring your show, if you have a show, you need a new home, so on and so forth, Big Exposed Radio. Email us at info@bigexposedradio.com and let us know you want a show in the subject bar, and we will get on it. Peace out, everybody. Thanks again, Kyle. Thanks again, Marty. Thanks again, Tony and Curtis. Appreciate you, and peace out. See you Monday. How people close in second period. That's
right.
That's not no.
I have to